What's up, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media of the world? Welcome to another episode of Musings with MGL. I'm your host, as always, MGL. Thank you for watching. If you like what I have to say, subscribe, like, share, comment down below, spread the word. I'm coming up on 1,000 subscribers. I'm at 820 something, I think. So I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I got about 4 more months to do that. And then once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I got enough views, then I can start getting some of that sweet YouTube ad money. And of course, it'd just be cool to hit 1,000 subscribers. So today's topic is going to be, should teachers be armed? Now, this is a controversial topic in the gun community, not gun owners community, but the gun owners and the gun hater communities, because the sides seem to be on complete opposite sides of the coin on this. So the pro-gun side, for the most part, thinks that it's okay and teachers should be armed if they can be armed. The anti-gun side says, nope, we don't want any guns with the teachers. They're there to teach math. They're not there to use guns. So it's a huge disparity between the two parties and the two positions, basically. So my position on it as a pro-Second Amendment person is, of course, teachers should be armed. Now, obviously, they shouldn't be forced to be armed, and nobody is advocating that. You always hear this all the time where, well, teachers came there to teach. They don't want to carry a firearm. Then they can do that. None of the proposals that have ever been proposed when it comes to arming teachers say that teachers must carry a firearm. There's nothing about it that's mandatory. Every single piece of legislation related to having armed teachers or staff, it doesn't have to be teachers, it can be janitors, lunch ladies, principals, whoever, but nothing has ever said it has to be mandatory. Every single one of them has made it voluntary for the teachers. It basically says if you're a teacher and you want to carry a firearm on campus at the school, you will be permitted to do so. And every piece of legislation puts in requirements in order to be able to do that. There's obviously requirements about training. There's requirements about getting your permits. There's requirements about where to keep the firearm on campus. You can't just throw it in your drawer next to the overhead projector. I don't even know if they use overhead projector these days, but anyway, you can't just leave it laying around. Like, there's all kinds of requirements that go into it for you being able to do it. So when people on the other side always talk about arming teachers, they have this, I don't even know if they believe it, but they push this narrative that what you're going to have is the little old ladies in the library carrying guns. You're going to have, the young teacher right out of college carrying a firearm in her social studies class, or you're going to have the lunch lady carrying a gun. Like, none of that's true. They put out this false image that essentially it's going to turn into like a Russian gulag where everybody walking around is going to be armed, and that's simply not true. Again, none of the legislation says that. It simply allows teachers and staff members who want to get the proper training to be able to protect their kids to do so. And I want to point out this story here that I pulled up on the screen, because you'll hear a lot of the people who are against this be like, look, it's not going to work. It's, the teachers aren't going to be able to get to their firearms or whatever. But here's a story to contradict that. This comes to us from, this website is called taphaps.com, but it basically references a Daily Mail story, so it's easier to just kind of read it from here. But as the headline says, a middle-aged man tried to kidnap an 11-year-old girl from an elementary school playground in broad daylight. Thankfully, the would-be kidnapper was thwarted by an armed school employee who took matters into his own hands. Ira Coxberry, an alleged child snatcher, met his match when he tried to kidnap an 11-year-old girl from the playground of Lincoln Elementary School in Ogden, Utah, the Daily Mail reported. At approximately 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, a 31-year-old man approached the girl during recess, quickly garnering the attention of a nearby teacher who was watching the kids from inside. When Coxberry grabbed the unnamed girl's arm and tried to pull her away, he was quickly confronted by the teacher, who ran outside and demanded he leave, according to the press. He unhanded the girl, allowing the teacher to usher her away, and then the teacher escorted all the other children off the playground. But after that, you'll see in here, Coxberry was undeterred and began yelling and punching a window of the classroom in an apparent attempt to force his way into the building, the Blaze reported. That's when the unnamed school employee decided to draw his concealed carry pistol. In hopes of discouraging the would-be kidnapper, the teacher showed Coxberry he was in possession of a firearm by pointing the gun at the intruder. Then, while holding the suspect at bay, the teacher called 911. Police were dispatched and arrived at the elementary school and arrested the suspect, later identified as Cox Berry, after a brief struggle. Although Cox Berry has no prior felony record, according to state court records, he appeared to be high on narcotics. Yeah, it was probably pretty clear that was going on at the time of his arrest. Police Lieutenant Brian Enron said the girl's parents said they didn't know Cox Berry, and police also said that there didn't seem to be any connection between the suspect and the girl. He was charged with first-degree felony child kidnapping and booked into the jail. School was placed on lockdown. Although the frightening ordeal left some of the children and their parents shaken and emotionally upset, they were safe, thanks to the armed teacher who was willing to confront a potential kidnapper not once but twice. So here's a story of the exact type of situation that you would want armed teachers or armed staff or whoever to be involved in. Here's a guy that's high on drugs, apparently, wanders away on a school campus, trying to cause harm to the children, try and break into the school campus, and because there was an armed teacher on the property nearby, they were able to detain him. You could have a school resource officer who could do that as well, but you only got one of those, and if he happens to be on the other side of the campus, or if he happens to be in the lunchroom at the time or on the crapper taking his break, then he or she isn't going to be around to respond as quickly as teachers who are right on the scene. The same thing happens with these mass shooters and these invasions into the schools. If there's only one school resource officer, which most schools only have, they're usually never in the same spot that the intruder is when they come in. They can't get there fast enough to stop it, or they're taken out first, and then that means that there's nobody there that's armed anymore. But if you have multiple people on campus who are armed and trained how to use those and have their firearms in a secure position, you would easily stop all of these school shootings. As I've said before, the only way to stop an active shooter is to shoot back, or the only way to stop a kidnapper, a potential kidnapper, or a crazed drug person on your property is with a firearm. Imagine if they'd had to go try and tackle him or detain him physically. You don't know if he's got a knife. You don't know if he's got his own gun. You don't know if he's crazy high on PCP and isn't going to care whether you're punching him in the face or not. So this is a great example of the benefits of having armed staff on property. And again, all of these laws nobody forced this teacher to carry a firearm. He obviously volunteered for it. He obviously went for the training for it. He obviously knew when and how to use it. And because he was able to do so, it stopped this potential problem and issue from happening at the school. And imagine if a place like here in Florida, Marjory Stoneman Douglas, or the most recent one out in Val Verde, Texas, if you'd have had multiple people, teachers, on site who were able to use firearms to protect those children, things would have gone way differently in those situations. So that's my opinion on it. It's probably the same opinion that most of you out there have. If you do, please feel free to comment. If you disagree with me, please feel free to comment and we can have a civil discussion about it. But that's going to be it for today. I'm all for armed staff on school. I don't care if they're teachers, lunch ladies, librarians, janitors, or extra armed school resource officers, retired veterans, whoever it wants to be. The more good guys armed on campus, the better, in my opinion. So thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment below. That's all for now. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay vigilant, and as always, carry on.